Hey everyone, it's Sarah with Hello Muffin, and I'm back with another video. This week it's going to be a budget video. I'm going to give you a walkthrough of my new budget planner. This is one of the new planners that Happy Planner released. This is a mini size. I think the name is like Life is a Party or something like that, but it's a mini lined vertical, and I've sort of FrankenPlanned it with their budget extension edition. So I'm just going to take you through my budget planner, how I have it set up, and in my next video I'm going to take you through how I actually make my budget, and I'm going to do a little bit of a mock budget using my boyfriend's numbers so you guys can see how to set up your own budgets. I'll walk you through the app that I use, which is Airtable. It's similar to Excel, but it's like a mini database, and that's where I keep all of my information in digitally, and then this is just sort of like a repeat of what's in the sheets on Airtable. So first, this is the cover of the planner. I really like this. This is, it says Adventures Up Ahead. It has some gold foiling. I thought it was really cute. I really like the discs in the multiple colors. It just seems really fun, and I feel like if I enjoy looking at it, then I have a higher chance of actually using it. So I picked something that I thought was really cute. So this planner is a 2019 planner. It runs from January to December of 2019. So I kind of had to FrankenPlan a little bit because I wanted to start doing my budget in November, and for that I had to use the extension pack, and I did use the extension pack a little bit in the January to December portion, and you'll see that in a minute. I kind of fudged a few things. So I'm going to actually start with the 2019 plans just so you can see what my basic setup is, and then I'm going to show you the alterations that I made for November and December, and then I'll show you January of 2019. I sort of started my budget just so I could get an idea of what it would look like. So I'm going to flip ahead to February, and this is the beginning of February. So in the regular planner, you would just have this February page and then your tab with your calendar. So what I plan on doing is using this for like top 3 financial goals, and then there's just a dot grid area here. I'm just gonna track, different budgeting things, maybe savings or whatever. I'm not quite sure yet. Maybe I'll fill it up with stickers, something inspirational quote, what have you. But these sheets are part of the budget extension. On one side they have a budget review, and then on the back they have the monthly budget. Now in the extension, this would be at the end of a current month, and then at the beginning of the next month, and then the tab would be on the right hand sides for starting the new month. So I'm sort of just plopping it in the middle here, but I plan on doing like a January budget review here, and then on the back, this is where you would put your monthly overview for expenses and things like that. And then the next pages would be these pages. There's a bill pay checklist, a couple pages, and then expense tracker sheets, but I'm not using them in my main planner. I'm just using the monthly budget sheet as an overview, and then I plan on using the actual planner pages as my budget log, which I'll get into in a minute. So I have my monthly budget sheet, and then I have this sheet that I made. This is my expenses, so that's going to go here. These are the expenses that I have every month. Some of them are bills, some of them are just recurring expenses, but I have them organized by my first paycheck and my second paycheck, which I have too. And you'll see in January I wrote a little bit more in here, and this is different. So I actually have a blank version of this sheet down in the description box below as a freebie, so you guys can go in and print your own if you'd like to use it. And these lines are blank obviously in the freebie, but I did make them an editable PDF, so you can go in and actually type in each expense, and you can type in how much you've budgeted. So I know in the future I'm going to type these in because the budgeted amount stays the same for me every month. And then that way I won't have to write it in every time, but it's fine for the few that I was just testing. I didn't want to waste them, so I just put them in here. But then that way you guys can actually print them out and just punch the holes and do the same thing. So you don't actually have to buy a budget extension if you don't want to. You can save yourself a couple of dollars and just use these sheets for your expenses. And then I created some stickers to cover up this section and this section. So I'm just gonna zoom in a little bit here. So as you can see on these sheets, it has bills and fixed expenses and variable expenses, but there's really not that many lines for you to write anything in. There's, I think, 7 for bills and expenses, and I think 5 for variable expenses, which I don't know about you, but I have way more expenses than that. As you can see, this is just one paycheck. This is my second paycheck. These up are my expenses, and from here up are my expenses. So this is useless to me because there's not enough space. So I actually created, let me pull them out from over here. I created some stickers that will cover this area and this area. So that way you can use these sheets if you'd like. You don't even have to use these sheets. You could use something like this, which are downloads from Etsy. They're just dot grid sheets that I printed and then punched. And then you can get like grid sheets as well if you'd like. And just use the stickers on there so you don't have to buy the budget extension. You can just use the stickers to sort of plan it out if that makes things easier for you. But I got these from List Lab on Etsy, and she has a bunch of different stuff on there. I just picked the dot grid and the regular grid, and I printed these on like a thin cardstock so that way the markers wouldn't really bleed through. They do a little, but it's not enough to really, you know, cause me any problems. But so this sheet is available as a freebie down below. I don't have these in the shop. These are, you know, obviously they're free to use. I broke them up into paycheck 1 and paycheck 2. Now, if you get paid bi-weekly, you might have a third paycheck, you know, once in a while. So if that's the case, you could always just throw in another sheet of paper, cut this, and just use another box. Or if you get paid weekly, then you can use both stickers. One sheet is enough for 2 months if you get paid twice in 1 month. So, you know, you can kind of utilize these however you need. You could just do 3 boxes, you know, down the page, whatever you need. You can customize it to your situation. But I created this big box sticker to cover this up. And then I created this sticker here. Let me see if I can get a little closer to the camera. If it's gonna, yeah. So this says debts, starting balance. It has 4 payment lines and then total amount paid. That is if you are on the debt snowball with the Dave Ramsey Baby Step 2. This sheet says savings, and I'm not using that right now because I'm paying down my debts, so it seemed kind of useless to me to just let it sit there. So I made this covers this perfectly. And then I also made these headers here. They say goals, notes, to do, debts, and savings. And those you can use here on this little dot grid section. I mean, you can really use them anywhere, but that's the measurement that I used was for this box. So you can have these kind of cover up here. So if you wanted to write some goals or whatever you want, you can do that there. So this is available again for download down in the description box below. So with that, this I haven't stickered yet. I will. So I will go back to January, which is the one that I have already filled out. As you can see, I used the stickers that came with the extension pack to do for the month of January, and then I used the ones you're supposed to use on the tabs. I used for my expense sheet, so I just kind of matched a little marker line with this color, and then I just used that January. So I covered this up, as you can see, and then I use this to sort of like categorize all of my expenses as a total. So all of my bills will be budgeted here, all of my total cash envelopes will be here, and that's divided up by my 2 paychecks. So, you know, so forth and so on, and then it just doubles here. Now, I'm probably going to reorganize these in the coming months. It was just like a test to see what would be the best way to work for me. I'll probably put income up at the top and then put all the expenses here so I can total up my expenses at the bottom and leave the income out of it, because I don't need to total it, it's just one line. And you know, in the future I'll probably fill all these out like I said before. So then I have my debts down here, and I put 4 lines versus the 3 that were for savings, because if you get paid weekly, then you might have 4 debt payments, or you might have 4 savings payments. You could always just chop off the word debts and just use the bottom half of the box and just to keep that savings header that's existing on the page. Or you could use, you know, one of these other headers that I had made, kind of, you know, Frankenstein that if you want. But I thought that the 4 payments might be better, because if you get paid weekly, then you might have 4 payments. 3 is kind of weird to me, but it is what it is. So there's starting balance, monthly income, and ending balance that are on the sheet. I might cover those up as well. I'm not really sure. I want to kind of use it for a little bit to see, but my plan would be to use this as like a monthly goals sheet. The first page of the budget extension has this savings tracker versus this monthly recap. So I put this for January, and instead of savings, I'm going to use it to track debt. I have $90,000 total debt between all my student loans left over, so I'm going to use this to track how much money I've paid versus like a monthly thing. Now, it does have the monthly tracking on the back, so I may end up redoing this page at some point, because if it's going to come with me for several years, I'm not going to pay this off for 4 years, I'll probably have to redo this sheet. But for now, I'm just going to leave it like this. I wanted to use the sheet, so that was what was there. So then each month I'm going to have my recap of the month before, but this is January, so it's my debt tracker. And then I'm going to have my monthly overview, and it's just going to go over, like I said, my main categories over here, payments on my debts, so my snowball payment, and then I think they call them snowflake payments when you make separate ones from the snowball. Those will go here. My expenses, I'll have budgeted versus actual, so this will just be like a general overview of everything to make sure that the amount of money that I have in my account is getting used for these things. And then that way I can keep track if there's any extra, and I can also keep track of the expenses that are quarterly. So for example, I have my garbage is every other month, so I budget $30 a month, but I don't spend that $30 every month, but I leave it in my account. So it's kind of like a digital cash envelope, but then that way I'll be able to flip back and say like, okay, well last month I didn't have a garbage payment. I budgeted 30, but I didn't spend it. So this month I'll budget 30 and I'll have 60 to spend. So that way I can kind of see which months have the payment on them. I think there's another one. I have 2 quarterly payments. I believe those are my Beachbody and Quip are quarterly. So I budget, whatever amount it is for that month, and then it builds up in my account, and then when the payment finally drafts, that money has been sitting in there. And I have separate checking accounts. I have a bills checking account, I have a spend checking account, and then I have my savings account. So any money that goes into my bills account just stays there. I don't touch it, I don't move it, I don't do any of that stuff. But it is kind of posing a problem for me because I round up a little bit for my budgets. So the leftover money just kind of sits in there, and then I end up with too much and I'm not really sure what to do with it. So this is going to solve that. I'll be able to go through and add up the ones that are just monthly and see the difference between what I budgeted and what's left over, you know, minus the garbage and then the 2 other quarterly payments that I have. I'll be able to see what's left over, and then I can push towards my debt or push into my spend account or whatever I want to do with it. But that'll help with that. So then for my actual, you know, starting 2019, this is my monthly spread. I have another monthly spread that I already started for November. I'll show you in a minute. But I plan on utilizing this for my budget. So instead of having this expense tracker like they do in the extension, I'm going to be using these. So on the top highlighted area, it's a different color each month. I plan on putting recurring expenses or bills that are due. And I might use stickers on the days that don't have anything. But on these lines, I'm going to track all the money that I spend that day, online shopping, out of my cash envelopes, because I have a lot of cash envelopes, but I don't always track where that money is going. Like, I don't have a list of where I spent the money from my cash envelopes, and I want to kind of keep a history of that so I know that I'm actually using it for what it should be for. So that's what's going to go here. And then I'm going to annotate whether it was on my card or from a cash envelope, or if I spent money on my credit card and I shouldn't have, I'll probably mark it a color or something. Then that way I can see right away what was over budget and what was accounted for correctly. So I'm just going to be doing that on the regular planner pages. And then again, you know, at the end of every month, I'll have the budget review and then the start of the new month, which would be here on the regular month page. And then I'm going to cover this with a sticker. And then once I run out of these sheets, I think I have 7. Once I run out of these, I'll probably just use these sheets that I made, the dot grid sheets, and just put the stickers on them. Or maybe I'll even just print a whole sheet. I don't even know. But I don't want to buy another extension pack just for this. I'll just put the stickers on a plain piece of paper and use it that way for my monthly overview. So let me go to my November so you guys kind of see how I FrankenPlan this. So this is the first tab that comes in the budget planner. I'm going to get rid of this as soon as November and December are done. I had to use whiteout on this sticker because I kind of screwed something up. So I put this on to kind of protect this so I didn't have to do anything with it. I kind of assumed it would stick to this and rip it off, and I didn't want to deal with that. So this is just the tab. Since I stole all the monthly sheets out of the set, I just put the sticker on the tab. Realistically, it doesn't matter to me. So this is November. I already filled out my numbers for November, my bills, my cash envelope, sinking funds, my debt snowball, my digital spend, and then my income for each paycheck. This is how many days are going to be in each paycheck, so I have a number that I know how much I'm going to get paid. Roughly, it kind of changes sometimes depending on like expenses and stuff. But this is my expected income for those 2 paychecks, and then this is my total for the bills minus my income. That's why I said I'll probably move my income to the top and then put all like the negatives underneath so I can total that, and it would make a little bit more sense. I don't do my debt snowball payment out of this paycheck. I do it out of this one. That's why it has a line there. And one of the things I wanted to mention was I get 2 paychecks a month. It's the 15th and the 30th, but I kind of count them differently. So my last paycheck for October, I count as my first paycheck of November because that money is getting spent completely in November with a couple exceptions. So I wrote October 30th as my first November paycheck because that's just, it's going towards my November expenses. So that's how I do that. And then this is the debt sticker from my sheet. So I'll probably just use a plain piece of paper and do something like this. I have several sticker books that have dates in them. So I'll probably just do that. Like I'll steal a November sticker and then do my the freebie sticker here and then do the debt sticker here. And then if I want to switch it to say savings, I'll just chop that off and write savings or something. And then if it's a dot grid one, there'll be the dot grids left over if I move this over, and I'll just do the same thing. I'll put goals or whatever I want there. That'll just save me a couple bucks in the end. So this is my monthly layout. I have my little key over here, green for paydays, purple for bills. So any day that there's an auto draft payment or something going out or something that's due, I have a little dot so I'll know to check my expense list, which I don't have here. I hand wrote them for November and I'll hand write them for December just to save myself some time, and just to use the sheets that I have rather than printing new pages that I didn't really need. Because I wanted to use this calendar and it has the bill pay on it, and I figured, well, I'll just write it for the 2 months that I'm using the actual extension sheets. So I have a dot for every time there's a bill payment coming out or one that's due. And then this is self-explanatory. I'm just going to be writing all of the expenses as it's intended. And then I have the same thing for December. I just covered it up another tab with another sticker. I haven't filled it out yet. I have the debts tracker here. And then I'll, dot this with all the payments again. And then on the bill pay checklist, I think it said notes here. I just used one of the stickers from my freebie sheet. One of the ones that said goals. And I put it here on top of the dot grid because I don't have that monthly overview again. I kind of want to have a place to put my goals. I suppose I could put some here, along here, but this is a nice big thing, so I could write, my quarterly payment for Quip is not due until December or whatever. Quip, by the way, is my toothbrush service every 3 months, so 4 times a year. I get a packet in the mail. It's $10. I get a new brush head. I get 3 months worth of toothpaste, a 2-week travel tube of toothpaste, and it used to come with a battery. I'm not sure if I just didn't get one the last time or if they're not doing that anymore, but I bought the handle for the electric toothbrush for I think $25, and then every 3 months they just automatically, it's $10 for each refill. I've been with them now I think for a couple of years. My boyfriend and I both have them. I get our refills at the same time. It's $10 a piece. And we have way much more toothpaste than we could ever use because they send you such a large tube. But it's nice because I never have to buy toothpaste. It just comes in the mail with my new brush head. And I feel like that's probably cheaper than if I were to buy actual toothpaste myself for the 2 of us. So, and it comes with a brush head. So here's the expense trackers. And then this is just the beginning of the actual book with the dates, and January with the debt tracker that I made, and this is where we started. So that's kind of how I FrankenPlanned it for the time being. And then actually in the back, I had to take out some of the guts because I had so much stuff in here. I'm not totally sold on this pocket I made. I'm not loving it. I kind of threw some stickers on here to try to make myself, like it more, but I hate it. So this might change. But I just took one of these sheets and I had made a debt goal tracker on this side. And then on the front, I wanted to do my snowball payments. But it was such a huge table, I didn't want to write it all out. So I ended up just making a pocket to store this card in, and I'll go over that in a second. But I'm not sold on this, guys. It looks okay, but not sold on it. But anyway, so this is my snowball tracking card. It's very long. It's 4 years worth of debt snowball payments. I plan on coloring these in according to the colors that are on here for the different debts. It starts off with, so I'm going to do a separate video going over my budget, how I budget in Airtable, how I categorize everything, how I make a budget. I have a preset amount of my paycheck goes into my bills account, and then a preset amount goes into my spend account every single paycheck. So then from there, I break that up into bills. And that way I always have enough money in my bills account to pay for everything. But you don't see that number in here because it's not really what's budgeted. It's just the money that I just added everything up and divided it. But I'm going to go over all that in a separate video, and I'm actually going to use my boyfriend's numbers to show you how I set up my budget, and I'm going to set up his budget the same way. His is a little different because he does Uber. He doesn't get a set paycheck. He works every day and cashes out his money every day, but I'm going to do it as if he was going to get paid weekly, so you guys can really follow along and make your own budget from that. But I'm going to go into a little bit more detail with that in another video. But this is my snowball tracker, and I'll go into more detail with this in the other video. But I just printed this out on cardstock, cut it out, and then I just folded it so it would fit in the pocket. So I have that always. And this way, if it changes, I can just print a new one and put it in the pocket, and it's not going to stick in there because I'm filming, so I'm just going to leave it here. But I did do mine a little bit differently than the traditional snowball, but I'll get into that later. So this is my tracker that I made. This I drew on the thing, and then I used these headers because I had extra ones that I wasn't going to use, and I did one for debts and one for savings. So I know I'm technically doing baby step 2, and I never did baby step 1. I don't have $1,000 in savings, and that's on me. But I have some extra money each paycheck for the most part that I'm going to try to squirrel away into savings while also doing my large debt payments. And then once that $1,000 is put away, I'm just going to reroute that money back into my debts and increase my snowball payments. I know I'm kind of like doing it backwards, but my debt snowball payments are so high that realistically, if something happened, I would just skip a month and use that money towards whatever the emergency fund would have gone to. I do want to save up that $1,000 though. That is a goal. That's why this is here. So that way I can kind of work on them side by side. I do get additional income that isn't listed anywhere in here. It would be listed in my, the sheet, the list of transactions, and then it would be reflected in the actual number at the end of the month. So that money could also go towards savings. That way I'm not really budgeting to use it, and I'm not really like using it. It's just going right to savings, so I don't have to look at it. So anyway, this pocket is a Happy Planner pocket. I did not make this. That's why it looks so much better than mine. These are my laminated sheets. I moved them into here. If you've watched my cash envelope stuffing videos, then you've seen these before. They are the breakdowns of all of my sinking funds for each type of paycheck that I have, 10-day, 11-day, or 12-day. And then it breaks down my cash envelopes. My digital spend is written up here. It's the same for each one, but I wrote it up here anyway. And then this is the breakdown of the money that I would need to get at the bank. So it has the denomination, so I can just take this whole thing out of here, take it to the bank to get my breakdowns, and also use it to stuff my envelopes when the time comes. But this also needs to kind of get, all right, another one that I have to finagle in. But yeah, so then in the back pocket, I just keep the stickers from the mini budget extension in here. I plan on using some of these in certain places. I use these for the monthly breakdowns, and I plan on using all these paid stickers on my handwritten little bar graph tracker as things are paid, just to kind of, make me feel good about paying my debts down. I'll use them here, when it's done. But yeah, so that's about it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope you enjoy the freebies, and I will see you guys next time for my budget breakdown. Bye!